What's up, everybody? This is Big Sarge back with another video. And in this video, I'm going to be explaining to you exactly what the 46 Tango or the Visual Information Equipment Operator Maintainer MOS is, in case this is what you want to do if you decide to join the U.S. Army. So let's get into it. When most people picture the U.S. Army, they imagine soldiers carrying rifles, driving tanks, or maybe even parachuting out of an aircraft. But behind the scenes, there's a whole world of technical jobs that keeps the Army running smoothly. And one of the most fascinating and often overlooked is the 46 Tango MOS, also known as the Visual Information Equipment Operator Maintainer. Now, this role is all about communication technology and making sure the Army's ability to broadcast, record, and present information works without a hitch. So if you've ever been the type of person who enjoys setting up audio-visual equipment, troubleshooting projectors, running sound systems, or even managing digital content, then the 46 Tango MOS might feel like it was designed just for you. So with that being said, let's go. What does visual information mean when it comes to the Army? So the Army uses the term visual information to describe any kind of media or technology that communicates a message visually or audio-visually. So think about photography and video, such as combat camera footage, training videos, and ceremony recordings. You got graphics and digital content like posters, signage, PowerPoint slides, digital media. You got broadcasting equipment like live feeds, internal television systems, and news style reports. And you have audio-visual equipment like projectors, microphones, PA systems, and lighting systems. Now, in today's military, information is power, and the Army needs trained professionals to record history as it happens, support command briefings, enhance training through media, and broadcast information to soldiers in the field. And that's exactly where 46 Tangos step in. All right, so let's talk about the 46 Tango. So the Visual Information Equipment Operator Maintainer. Well, the name itself tells you two things. One, that you're going to be an operator, meaning you're going to be the one setting up and running the equipment. And then you're also going to be a maintainer. This means you're also going to be the one keeping the equipment in good working order. So it's a dual role job. On one hand, you're the person behind the scenes making sure an important ceremony, video shoot, or training presentation looks and sounds professional. On the other hand, you're also the tech who diagnoses and fixes the equipment when something goes wrong. All right, so what does a typical day look like for 46 Tango? Now, while typical can vary depending upon where you're stationed, here are some of the big categories of this task. So you're going to be setting up audio-visual systems like projectors, large screens, microphones, speakers, and lighting. You're going to be setting up for command briefings, change of command ceremonies, or even large conferences. You're going to be making sure that the sound is clear, the video is crisp, and nothing fails mid-presentation. You're also going to be operating cameras and broadcasting equipment. So you're going to be recording training exercises, conducting interviews or official ceremonies. You're going to be capturing footage for historical records and training activities. You're going to be doing some troubleshooting and maintenance where you're diagnosing why a projector won't connect to a laptop, repairing a broken microphone or a cable, or ensuring video editing software, broadcasting consoles, and related technologies are all operational. And you're also going to be supporting public affairs. So you will be working alongside public affairs specialists, which are the 46 Sierras. And you're going to be providing the technical side of telling the Army story, where you're helping commanders deliver information in a polished and professional way. All right, so let's talk about exactly how do you go about becoming a 46 Tango. So to become a 46 Tango, you're going to have to go through the usual Army pipeline, meaning you're going to have to go to basic training, and that's about 10 weeks of soldiering fundamentals. You're going to learn how to shoot weapons, get in shape, and learn discipline. And then you're going to get shipped off to Advanced Individual Training, or AIT, and this is where you're going to learn your MOS-specific skills. Now, for the 46 Tango, AIT takes place at Fort Meade out in Maryland, which is also home to the Defense Information School. And this is the Army's hub for training in public affairs, visual information, and media operations. And while you're at AIT, you're going to learn how to set up and operate cameras, lighting, and audio systems. You're going to learn the basics of editing and production. You're going to learn about equipment troubleshooting and preventative maintenance. And you're going to learn technical skills for handling broadcasting and multimedia equipment. So that course is very hands-on, and you're going to spend a lot of time physically setting up and tearing down gear to simulate real-world scenarios. All right, so let's talk about some of the skills that you're going to pick up. So, being a 46 Tango, this gives you a skill that's incredibly useful, both inside and outside of the military. And some of these include audio-visual tech expertise, like dealing with microphones, soundboards, cameras, projectors, and lighting. You're going to get some broadcasting knowledge when it comes to live feeds, editing, and digital production. You're going to get some computer and networking basics, since a lot of modern AV systems are digital. You're going to learn about troubleshooting and repair skills where you're diagnosing equipment failures. You're also going to learn some organizational skills when it comes to planning big events and coordinating with leadership. And these skills transfer directly into civilian jobs in IT, media production, broadcasting, corporate AV support, and even film and television. All right, next let's talk about where could you be stationed at. So 46 Tangos, they can work just about anywhere the Army has soldiers because every unit needs information and communication. And some possible duty stations include the following. So there are stateside Army bases where you're going to be supporting training events, command briefings, and public affairs. You can be sent overseas where you're helping broadcast Army television and radio services to station troops. Or you can be sent to a combat zone where you're providing real-time media support, capturing operations, or setting up command center AV systems. Now, in some locations, you might even be a part of an Army multimedia center where you're working in a more production-oriented environment. And in others, you might just be the go-to tech person for your unit. All right, next let's talk about career progression. So like any MOS, 46 Tango offers promotion opportunities as you gain rank and experience. So here's how it usually looks. You have your junior enlisted soldiers, and these are E1s through E4s. And basically you're going to be learning the ropes, doing hands-on setup, and assisting with equipment. Once you make the rank of E5 or E6, you're going to be running teams, supervising junior soldiers, and planning bigger events. And once you become a senior NCO, you're going to be managing visual information programs at the unit or installation level. Now, as you climb the ranks, you move from primarily setting up gear yourself to managing teams, planning operations, and overseeing large-scale projects. All right, next, let's talk about some civilian career opportunities. So this is one of those MOS jobs that transitions almost seamlessly into the civilian world. And some career paths you could follow after serving include the following. So there's the audiovisual technician, where you could be working for corporations, schools, or government agencies. You could become a broadcast technician, where you're running cameras, lighting, and sound for TV stations. You could be a multimedia specialist, where you're creating training videos or digital content. You could be an event production technician, where you're supporting conferences, concerts, and live events. You could also be an IT and AV support, where you're working in a tech support role with a focus on media systems. You could also find yourself working in film and television as a crew member, where you're bringing your technical skills into the entertainment industry. And many of these jobs, they do pay well, and they are in constant demand, especially as the world continues to rely on video communication. All right, so like any job, this MOS has its ups and downs. So let's go ahead and start with the positives. So one of the pros is there are transferable skills, because everything that you learn can be applied to civilian jobs. This MOS provides a creative outlet. So you're going to be working with media, which allows for you to have some creativity. This MOS is in demand everywhere because every Army unit needs AV support. So you're always going to be needed. You have a variety of work that you're going to be doing. So one day you're going to be setting up a briefing, and the next you're going to be filming a live event. And then there's some civilian networking opportunities because you're going to be working with contractors or civilians in the AV media space. Now, when it comes to the cons of being a 46 Tango, this is a behind the scenes role, meaning you're not always going to get recognition, and people are just going to expect you to go out there and do the technical work. There is some physical work involved because you're going to be setting up equipment, lifting heavy cases, and moving around a lot of gear. There's possibly going to be some long hours because events don't always happen during the duty day. So you may end up doing early morning setups or doing late night setups. Then there's going to be some high stress during some of these events because if something fails mid-briefing, like in front of a general, well, guess who's getting the side eye? Of course, it's going to be you. But regardless, many 46 Tangos, they love this MOS because they know that they're the people who make communication possible. All right, so let's talk about how this MOS fits into the bigger picture. So the Army has always needed ways to communicate. First, it was through couriers, then radios, and now through advanced digital media. In the 46 Tango MOS, this ensures that when leaders need to brief soldiers, or when troops overseas need access to news, or when history needs to be documented, the technology works. So in other words, 46 Tangos, they keep the Army's voice loud, clear, and professional. And here's a realistic example of what you might be doing. So imagine this scenario. The unit's commander is about to give a live stream briefing to hundreds of soldiers across multiple time zones. And the event involves video feeds, microphones, PowerPoint slides, and live questions. Now, without you, the 46 Tango, this event could be a disaster. But because you set up the equipment, tested the connections, and you're standing by to troubleshoot, well, the entire operation goes off smoothly. The commander looks polished and the soldiers get the information they need. And you've quietly ensured mission success. Well, in the nutshell, that is the life of a 46 Tango. You are critical, even though you are not very visible. All right, so let's go ahead and wrap this up. The 46 Tango might not be the most well-known Army job, but it is one of the most important when it comes to communication and technology. So if you enjoy working with media equipment, solving tech problems, and being the go-to person who makes things run smoothly, then this MOS could be a perfect fit for you. Plus, with skills that transfer directly into civilian careers in broadcasting, IT, event production, and media support, you will set yourself up for success long after you hang up the uniform. So while you might not be out in the field kicking indoors, you will be playing a vital role in keeping the Army connected, informed, and professional. And in today's world, that's just as important as any other mission.